must get on board. They will soon take off. Prevent the clones from boarding. Now.
Don't mind me.
I find your ineptitude less amusing as time goes by.
Sentry mode activated. Firing target. Sentry gun online.
Bosk has been hired to hunt for us.
You obviously never bothered.
Grenade prime. Move. Sentry guns online. Firing target. Grenade out.
We are getting support from General Grievous himself. The clone assault must be stopped at once. Our ship is being damaged. Ship damage level critical. Any more damage and we will go down.
There is no end.
Прикинь, в стрелке застряла.
А чё я стою, блядь? Чё я не могу идти? Чё? Нет. Блядь.
Ничего себе.
Бать! Ты видел, как меня крип по сетку кинул?
Сейчас реально говорит, где я. Друг, я же это тоже вижу, я просто уйти могу от того места, где ты пишешь. Я понимаю, что у тебя IQ где-то 5, что очень глупенький, но не настолько же. Он сказал, что я в верхнем лесоде, сейчас придут ебут и дадут.
Ставь, смотри, я правильно ставь, ставь. Че надо?
We've gained a foothold on the battle station, but our position here is tenuous. The Imperials will throw everything they have at us, and our best defense lies in attacking. May the Force be with us.
Стримкоин. Моментальное пополнение стима и самая низкая комиссия сервиса. Ссылка на их сайт и промокод со скидкой в описании.
Secure the sector by capturing and holding these command posts.
Нормально запахал цивилизацию.
Suppressive fire, ready.
Луцкой! Давай, давай. Мать, мать.
Women.
Хорош. Никитрон! Нет. У него нет машины. Ракета лежит. Максим, Максим, Максим! Максим, пожалуйста! Давай! Максим, Максим, давай! Максим, только! Да, нет, он упал! Я дал.
Should have ran and I got shot. My ocean, our chap is boss is coming. Better ran down, Mr. Yellow Man. Brother man.
Если можно самому вылезти, то это фигня. Если увидел, он нажимает телепорт, я такой, ага, тебе. Это я не переключил героя.
The Imperials have us cornered. We must counterattack and reclaim those command posts.
Straight out.
We're about to secure command post S.
Marking targets.
Time to step all over them.
Don't get killed on my account.
Not the martyring. I got your back.
Boba Fett is here. There must be a bounty on all of us.
Grenade out. Throwing. Ready
We
to
don't
move
shape
on.
up soon, we're gonna lose this battle.
We're getting Jedi support. Luke Skywalker is here.
Grenade out.
Bosk is hunting for the Empire. Be careful.
Backup ready.
General Solo is here.
Throwing.
We're capturing Crash. Command post Crash is ours.
Leia Organa has arrived to reinforce us.
Grenade out.
take and hold the command posts.
We're getting help from that smuggler, Solo.
We're taking point north. Command post Dorn has been secured. We've lost command post Dorn. Connect deployed.
We can't let the Imperials win this. Let's show them what we're made of.
We're taking Besh. Command post Besh has been secured. Grenade out!
The Emperor has come. Everyone beware. Commander Skywalker is here to aid us.
Unidentified ally fighting stormtroopers!
Get the target area.
We can't sustain our presence here on the Death Star any longer. Move to evacuate. We'll find some other way to take on this battle station.
заблокировал. Как решался транспортный вопрос?
Местные жители на больших лодках перевозили людей и машины через озеро. Другого пути не было.
Местные жители превращали свои лодки в самодельные баржи и переправляли на них не только людей и провизию, но даже транзитные автомобили дальнобойщиков, которые курсировали между Пакистаном и Китаем. Такой заработок стал спасением для многих местных, чьи фермы и поля уничтожил обвал. Так продолжалось целых 5 лет, пока разорванное Каракарумское шоссе не соединили новым тоннелем. Чем ближе мы к остаткам поселка, тем чаще поездка превращается в езду на грани.
Да, друзья, экстремальненько. Прямо по краю. О, не свалиться бы. Вот такие деревянные мосты. Потрясающая местность, на самом деле очень красивая, но для жизни очень сложная. Вот, друзья, едем по такой экстремальной дороге, пробираясь к месту, куда, собственно, обвалились все камни. Дорога, конечно, жуткая, просто невероятно. Когда шевелятся камушки вообще, ощущение такое, знаете, очень страшно. Посмотрите вниз.
Все, дальше не проедешь. Туда только пешком.
Мы приехали в поселок, куда жители Верхнего Атабада бежали по горным тропам, чтобы укрыться от камнепада.
Вот то место, по которому мы сейчас идем. Здесь что-то было?
Это уже наш поселок. Там дальше были дома. А вон там, видишь, большая груда камней. Там была школа. Там, где сейчас река, тоже стояли дома. Вот такие сады здесь везде были. В этом поселке был мой дом и моих родственников. Вон там наверху тоже были дома. Там погибло 9 человек.
Таким образом, место, в котором люди хотели спасти свою жизнь, превратилось в их могилу. Вот, друзья, самое печальное, мы уже на том месте, где были жилые дома, где погибли люди, все это просто смыло потоком селевым.
Во время обвала куски горной породы и грунт смешались с речной водой и мощным потоком обрушились на долину.
Вот здесь даже можно увидеть, что это глина вперемешку с водой. Куски скалы, камни. Такая масса просто стекала оттуда и сносила все на своем пути. Вот мы подходим к месту, где видна стенка дома, который завалило. Очевидно, судя по балке, что это крыша. И, скорее всего, здесь тоже погибли люди.
Вот здесь был дом, в котором нашли Арсалана и Фаима. Здесь большая комната. А вот в этом углу они сидели.
То есть, получается, Фахим и Арсалан сидели в этом углу. Именно поэтому они выжили. Дальше уже видна глина, то есть дальше уже шансов было все меньше и меньше.
Сразу после катастрофы вся эта долина была засыпана землей и камнями до такого уровня, как мы сейчас стоим. Была ровная земля, по ней мы ходили прямо на ту сторону.
Мне просто страшно представить. Все это было засыпано камнями, грязью, глиной до противоположной стороны. То есть можно было пройти пешком. И реки здесь не было. Это все было глина, камни, и потом река проложила для себя новое русло. Вы прибыли сюда через час после трагедии. Что вы здесь увидели?
Здесь были тысячи людей, спасатели, волонтеры, военные, местные жители. Все искали выживших. Мы искали, но находили только погибших. Я лично нашел здесь тела 4 своих родных. Младшего брата Арсалана, мою младшую сестру, двоюродную сестру и тетю.
Эту трагедию называют самой таинственной в истории долины Хунтин. 150 лет назад о ней пророчил шаман. В это сложно поверить, но совсем накануне катастрофы было еще одно предупреждение.
За За несколько недель до катастрофы приезжали специалисты и сказали, что у нас есть не больше 15 дней до обвала. Но не все прислушались к ним. Мы не отнеслись серьезно к этому предупреждению. Здесь же камни постоянно с гор падают. Люди могут ошибаться. И мы ошиблись. Мы думали, что обвал будет идти прямо, а он пошел в сторону по течению реки. Накрыл мой дом. Там погибли 2 мои дочери.
Эти люди всю жизнь провели на самом стыке тектонических плит. Небольшие землетрясения и камнепады для них, как для нас, к примеру, гроза. Обычное дело. Поэтому не все отнеслись серьезно к предупреждениям об опасности. Сегодня о катастрофе напоминает озеро Атабак, которое назвали в честь рухнувшего в пропасть поселка Атабак. Сейчас это озеро – главная достопримечательность всего горного Пакистана. Но 10 лет назад именно это озеро стало главной опасностью всей долины.
Для того, чтобы отчетливо увидеть это, лучше всего подняться в воздух и посмотреть на это место с вертолета.
Видите, озеро, а дальше пошел ручеечек. Вот это именно и есть место обвала. С 2 сторон сыпались камни, грязь, земля. Все это сносило дома на своем пути. Упала, по сути, гора и образовала плотину шириной 2 километра, которая просто перекрыла реку. Таким образом, озеро наполнялось водой все активнее и активнее. Каждый день глубина увеличивалась на 1 метр. И за несколько месяцев озеро стало глубиной 100 метров.
С каждым днем вода забирала у жителей долины Фрунзе все больше домов, ферм, школ и больниц. Люди остались без крыши над головой. И опасность только возрастала. Важно понимать, что это не плотина, построенная по точным расчетам инженеров. Это просто насыпь из хаотично упавшей земли и камней, на которую с каждым днем давило все больше и больше воды. Огромная масса. Разрушение этой плотины мгновенно вызвало огромную волну и сель, которая сносит все на своем пути.
Спасатели при помощи техники пытались пробурить отверстие для того, чтобы снять воду из озера и не затапливать населенные пункты, но человеческих сил оказалось недостаточно для того, чтобы справиться с мощью природы.
Только через 3 месяца работы в сложнейших горных условиях рабочим из спасотрядов удалось пробить через плотину канал для сброса воды. Но этого не хватило для решения проблемы, потому что воды по реке прибывало больше, чем уходило через канал, и ее уровень в озере продолжал расти. В итоге озеро достигло 21 километра в длину. И только через полгода после обвала уровень воды в озере Атабат удалось стабилизировать, и опасность отступила. Звучит мистически, но в конечном итоге проблему решил не человек, а сама природа.
Знаете, вода камень точит, и вода все-таки проточила ручеек и пробралась, и создала новое русло. Таким образом, русло, которое было где-то здесь, оно сместилось метров на 100 и теперь проходит там. И природа в очередной раз доказала, что она не подвластна человеку. И если где-то сверху решили, что здесь должно быть озеро, оно обязательно будет, и этот процесс невозможно остановить.
Эти земли на склонах крупнейших горных систем нашей планеты, Гималаев, Каракарума и Гиндукуша, нередко называют вершинами мира, райскими местами и волшебными долинами. Но реальность в этих краях, к сожалению, не всегда радужная.
Учитывая то, что здесь сталкиваются тектонические плиты, зона сейсмически активная, мне кажется, нужно осознавать, что в любой момент, в любом горном регионе могут происходить подобные вещи. Мне кажется, что от этого не застраховано ни одно высокогорное поселение.
Так и есть. Но мы родились и выросли в горах. Мы любим горы, поэтому и не боимся.
У меня, например, было, когда я тонул в бразилии, реально тонул. Я потом боялся даже нырять на 1 метр. Вот я ныряю в воду, а у меня фобия, страх, мне кажется, что это вот. У вас не появился страх перед горами?
Нет, мы не боимся. Если когда-то будет возможность, я бы хотел вернуться сюда и построить здесь свой дом.
Die bei den Espresso-Sammelstellen recycelten Kapseln werden beim Familienunternehmen Höppwerke in Tirol aufbereitet. Das daraus gewonnene Aluminium kann für neue Produkte, wie beispielsweise Fahrräder oder Stifte, verwendet werden.
Bist du satt, dass dein Browser wieder rumlenkt und komplett explodiert? Dann habe ich die Lösung. Opera GX ist nämlich ein Browser, der deine Performance aufs nächste Level bringt. Denn bei Opera GX kannst du einstellen, wie viele RAM und CPU dein Browser benutzt, ja? Damit du beim Gaming immer die beste Performance hast. Hier zum Beispiel ein Vergleich von RAM und CPU zwischen Opera GX und Chrome zum Beispiel. Das Highlight ist nämlich Mods. Zum einen für Hintergrundmusik, eigene Tippgeräusche, wenn man...
Как сложилась ваша жизнь сегодня? Чем вы занимаетесь?
Первое время было очень трудно. У нас не осталось дома. Нужно было уезжать в город, но там негде было жить. Но наша семья справилась. Благодаря переезду в город мы смогли пойти на учебу в хорошие школы. Я учусь в армейском колледже, 11 класс. Я учусь в 9 классе, в обычной школе, но хочу после нее пойти служить в армию. Первые дни были самыми трудными. Аллах помог мне снова стать на ноги. Раньше я думал, что внизу для меня нет жизни, только в моем селе на горе. Но когда мы попали в города там в долине, оказалось, что там не так плохо. У нас в поселке мало кто учился больше 10 классов, а там у людей появилась возможность получить образование. Это очень важное изменение. Я смог поступить в университет и получить диплом социального психолога. Мы потеряли все, что у нас было, но не опустили руки, трудились, и теперь живем нормально. У меня была своя гостиница здесь, ее тоже разрушило, но со временем я смог построить новую. В итоге это изменило нашу землю и нашу жизнь. Сюда стали приезжать люди из разных стран. Правительство помогает развивать туризм. Все это на пользу местным.
Обвал горной породы, разрушение поселка Атабан и образование озера – это трагедия, потеря человеческих жизней. Но при этом это новая жизнь для всего региона. Потому что после того, как 10 лет назад появилось это озеро, Хунза стала самым туристическим регионом в Пакистане. Практически каждый турист, который приезжает в эту страну, обязательно едет сюда, чтобы увидеть это озеро, сфотографироваться, поплавать на лодке. Правда, делают это обычно летом, когда тепло, сейчас слишком холодно. Теперь озеро Атабад – самый главный туристический магнит.
В таких местах особенно сильно начинаешь понимать, насколько неудержимой и непредсказуемой бывает природа. Но вместе с тем она всегда поддерживает баланс. И если что-то отнимает, то что-то обязательно дает взамен. Атабад сегодня стал одной из главных ценностей горного Пакистана. Но это далеко не все богатства долины Хунза. Мы возвращаемся в город Каримабад, резиденцию бывших королей, где в нерушимых фортах до сих пор можно увидеть настоящие сокровищницы. И главное – отыскать самих членов королевской семьи.
На таком холоде очень сложно работать, мерзнут руки, мерзнет техника. Батареи разряжаются очень быстро. Например, на коптере можно летать минут 15 при таком холоде. Поэтому я засекаю время на часах, чтобы вовремя сменить батарею. А вот часам хоть бы что, они выдерживают температуру от минус 40 до плюс 70 градусов. Не боятся дождя и даже песчаной бури. Как раз для наших рабочих условий.
Вот, друзья, мы прибыли в невероятную крепость, она называется Балтит. Этому строению 800 лет, и здесь до 45-го года прошлого века жили правители Хунзы. Отлично сохранилось, все буквально дышит историей. Хотя, когда Пакистан стал независимым, короли перестали быть правителями, и форт превратили в музей. А вот его хранитель. Ассалам алейкум! Меня зовут Дмитрий, вас как зовут?
Салахуддин. Уже 24 года я смотритель этого форта.
Расскажите мне про это место и про этих людей, которые тут жили.
Здесь жил Мир Мохаммед Джамал хан. В 1945 году он переехал в Новый дворец, а этот пустовал до 1990 года. Пойдем, я вам все покажу.
Что, друзья, заходим в древний форт миров королей долины Хунза, которые строились 800 лет назад. И здесь нет толп туристов. Вот это поражает. Очень темное помещение. деревянные лестницы.
Как и первый форт Алтит, крепость Балтит с трудом напоминает роскошную королевскую резиденцию. Но это не промах древних дизайнеров, а стратегическое решение. Это строение рассчитано не только на роскошную жизнь и прием знатных гостей, но и на военное положение. Первый этаж целиком занимают камеры хранения всего необходимого на случай осады. Именно здесь жил принц, который победил в войне с братом и замуровал его в колонии старого форта.
Слушайте, как красиво.
Это гостиная короля.
Вау. И представьте себе, что король утром открывал окно, выходил и любовался своими землями, своим королевством. Все сохранилось с точки зрения природы фактически в неизменном виде. Все так же видна долина, все те же горы, что и в королевские времена, все та же река Хунза. Только вот королей уже нет, это теперь территория Пакистана, и тут можно действительно в прямом смысле прикоснуться к истории. А вот здесь была печь, я так понимаю, да?
Здесь был банк короля.
В смысле банк? То есть это сейф, хранилище денег?
Да.
А это для чего?
Если королю нужны были деньги, он доставал их отсюда.
Фантастика. Это банк? То есть это сейф древний, королевский?
В то время не было бумажных денег. Были монеты. По приказу короля здесь всегда сидел казначей, который выдавал деньги. Король просто протягивал руку, и казначей выдавал ему нужную сумму.
Итак, друзья, представьте, жена пилит короля, говорит, где деньги? Он постучал, дверца открылась, мешочек с золотом. На, иди на базар, иди. А можно в банк зайти?
Можно, но там сейчас идет реставрация.
Вот давайте увидим, как закрывался банк. Замочек тоже, как наш. Так, открываем и попадаем в банк. Ох, класс.
Раньше эта комната была доверху заполнена золотом, которое стекалось королю со всех уголков его княжества.
Ассаламу алейкум. Меня зовут
Мушарраф.
Мушарраф?
Хидает.
Вы здесь проводите реставрационные работы. Здесь было золотохранилище. Не было счастья и удачи. Не находили что-нибудь драгоценное?
Полвека с 1945 по 1990-е годы это место было заброшенным и пришло в полный упадок. Сокровищ здесь не осталось.
Я бы на вашем месте, если бы нашел золото, я бы тоже никому не сказал. Я бы сказал, ничего нету. Ну что, спасибо вам. Желаю все-таки найти золотую монету и никому не рассказывайте, если найдете. А золота, друзья, в этих местах еще очень много. Это золотоносная долина.
Помимо налогов от местных жителей, казна этого форта также наполнялась благодаря очень удачному расположению. Местный военный гарнизон контролировал торговые потоки через Каракарум между Южной и Центральной Азией. Доказательства тому здесь висят прямо на стенах.
Это вот китайские деньги.
Почему китайские?
В давние времена здесь очень активно шла торговля между странами.
Уже тогда пакистанские, точнее тогда еще короли мира вели бизнес с Китаем. Очень прикольно, мне нравится. О, а это что у нас такое?
А здесь спальня и кухня одновременно.
Вот эти вот все предметы, они с тех времен или это уже какая-то имитация, фейк?
Это все настоящее. У нас до сих пор используются такие кастрюли в хозяйстве. А сделаны они из камня.
Вот, кстати, друзья, я уже вижу очевидное отличие каменной посуды от металлической. Вот, металлическая посуда тех времен, она уже дырявая, потому что время не щадит сталь. Вот. А каменная посуда, она до сих пор целая. Если ее не разбить, то она еще будет 1000 лет, наверное, или сколько угодно, да, служить.
Да, эта посуда очень долговечная.
Такая древняя посуда – это не просто память о былых временах. Ее до сих пор используют потомки королей в своих домах. Некоторые исследователи считают, что такой способ приготовления пищи – это один из главных секретов долгожительства хунзакутов. Мы это обязательно проверим и узнаем, в чем волшебное свойство местной кухни.
Это уникальная посуда. Ее делали с помощью рогов мархура. Это такой винторогий козел.
А что, настолько крепкие рога у этого легендарного козла пакистанского?
We're getting support from Master Kenobi. I like the way this is going. Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on!
Lebe rebellisch. Auch beim Preis. Lebe smart. Ikea.
Да, они твердые, как железо. У рогов этого козла есть особенность. Сколько на них кругов, столько и лет живут. У меня такая же история с усами. Их общая длина с обеих сторон сейчас 90 сантиметров.
Фантастика! Я все не мог понять, что у вас такие бакенбарды. Усы на уши намотанные. Фантастика! Сколько лет вы отращивали эти усы?
24 года.
24? Не стригли ни разу?
Недавно срезал 10 сантиметров, чтобы подровнять. Они неровно росли.
А можно прикоснуться, я прошу?
Да, конечно.
Вот это усы. Всем усам усы. Вам нужно в книгу рекордов. Такие усы не найдете.
Обо мне написано во многих исторических книгах, а туристы всегда со мной фотографируются. А это самый первый король, Хазан Ханфаш.
Мне кажется, усами он немножечко похож на вас.
Да, он очень похож на меня, но у каждого из королей был свой стиль.
А вот здесь за рекламкой мы видим просто портреты всех этих королей, да? В разные годы.
Да.
То есть, друзья, когда образовался независимый Пакистан и королевство Хунзы официально перестали существовать, они остались формально. Но все равно власть королевская передавалась из поколения в поколение. Потомков королей здесь в городе много.
Да, потомки королей еще живы.
В этих краях принцы и короли – это не древняя история. Правление монархов закончилось всего 47 лет назад. Поэтому королевские семьи все еще живут здесь, в долине. И мы попробуем выход искать.
Готовий до подорожей? Сузукі Джимні – це пригоди та безумовна свобода руху. Відкривай світ разом із Джимні.
Смотрите в следующей программе. Жизнь по-королевски. Как правители долины Хунза наполняли свои сокровищницы.
Золото приходилось отдавать королю. Каждый должен был отдавать по 20-30 граммов.
И как сейчас живут члены королевской семьи.
У меня было бы много владений и дворец. Точно не такой маленький гестхаус, простой ресторанчик, как сейчас.
Мы узнаем, правда ли, что в этом регионе можно сказочно разбогатеть буквально за секунду.
Земля, дом и самолет?
И попытаемся найти свой клад там, где сами горы осыпают людей драгоценностями.
Появляется на глазах золото из ниоткуда, из песка. Какая-то уникальная земля. Все побережье золотое.
Локтяли в подорожі з тобою, щоб не минуло стороною.
Чем ближе мы к остаткам поселка, тем чаще поездка превращается в езду на грани.
Да, друзья, экстремальненько. Прямо по краю. О, не свалиться бы. Такие деревянные мосты. Потрясающая местность, на самом деле очень красивая, но для жизни очень сложная. Вот, друзья, едем по такой экстремальной дороге, пробираясь к месту, куда, собственно, обвалились все камни. Дорога, конечно, жуткая, просто невероятно. Когда шевелятся камушки вообще, ощущение такое, знаете, очень страшно. Посмотрите вниз.
Все, дальше не проедешь. Туда только пешком.
Мы приехали в поселок, куда жители Верхнего Атабада бежали по горным тропам, чтобы укрыться от камнепада.
Вот то место, по которому мы сейчас идем. Здесь что-то было?
Это уже наш поселок. Там дальше были дома.
dispatch at all the command posts you need right now. I sent a transport down to pick you up. This is your window to take that ship out.
Hole dir mit Durchblicker noch heute deine neue Haushaltsversicherung und spare jährlich bis zu 200 €. Jedes Jahr wieder. Und wieder. Und wieder. Und wieder. Und checke jetzt deine Ersparnis auf Durchblicker. Österreichs Nummer 1 und Testsieger bei Versicherungen.
А вон там, видишь, большая груда камней. Там была школа. Там, где сейчас река, тоже стояли дома. Вот такие сады здесь везде были. В этом поселке был мой дом и моих родственников. Вон там, наверху, тоже были дома. Там погибло 9 человек.
Таким образом, место, в котором люди хотели спасти свою жизнь, превратилось в их могилу. Тоже погибли люди.
Искали.
Вот видите, озеро, а дальше пошел ручеечек. Вот это именно и есть место обвала. С двух сторон сыпались камни, грязь, земля. Все это сносило дома на своем пути. Упала, по сути, гора и образовала плотину шириной 2 километра, которая просто перекрыла реку. Таким образом, озеро наполнялось водой все активнее и активнее. Каждый день глубина увеличивалась на 1 метр. И за несколько месяцев озеро стало глубиной 100 метров.
С каждым днем вода забирала у жителей долины Фрунзе все больше домов, ферм, школ и больниц. Люди остались без крыши над головой. И опасность только возрастала. Важно понимать, что это не плотина, построенная по точным расчетам инженеров. Это просто насыпь из хаотично упавшей земли и камней, на которую с каждым днем давило все больше и больше воды. Огромная масса. Разрушение этой плотины мгновенно вызвало бы огромную волну и сель, которая сносит все на своем пути.
Спасатели при помощи техники пытались пробурить отверстие для того, чтобы стравливать воду из озера.
Я писал, что за пшик?
Bei Gurkal.at liefern wir dir das Beste.
Almost there. Last push.
There is no death.
Darth Maul is here. We've destroyed the target. Kind of precision you only get from a clone.
Feels like I've stepped back in time.
The world of sumo is famously secretive.
Do not touch my cameraman.
Your window to the world.
The tension has been building every day that we've been shooting this story.
Foreign Correspondent. Stream now on ABC iView.
Two years after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, an estimated 500,000 soldiers on both sides have been killed or wounded. The scale of human suffering is staggering, and many towns on the Eastern Front now resemble a desolate moonscape. I watched the invasion unfold on my TV screen at home, but we've only really seen one side of this war. I wanted to see the other side. That's why I travelled to Russian-occupied Ukraine. I'm now on the front lines. The sounds here are so much more terrifying than the sounds I heard.
Feels like I've stepped back in time.
This program contains coarse language.
Have a go at this. It's one of the smaller trolleys too. This just cost me almost $400. This is absolute joke.
Coles and Woolworths, Australia's big two, under fire.
There's no doubt we are paying higher prices than we should.
They've just become bigger and bigger.
It's like they've got their hand on your throat and just letting you breathe.
Insiders are speaking out.
If you're not willing to play their game, it's a lot of intimidation.
So how would you categorise a special?
Oh, a little bit like a drug.
Their $1 million CEOs on the defensive.
He says that's the definition of price gouging.
I think I'm done, guys.
You're walking out, really?
Successive Australian governments have allowed Coles and Woolworths to increase their market power. Now we expose the tactics they use to keep prices high and competitors out.
First it was the farmers who felt the pinch.
What do we want?
Then supermarket workers. And finally it's you, the consumer, being squeezed by this powerful duopoly. From the city to the suburbs, in country towns, they are part of our landscape. Coles and Woolworths. We're told they are the fresh food people, the home of everyday low prices.
Teenagers.
They are family dinners and back-to-school snacks.
Vending machines.
Our most trusted brands who have always sold themselves as being firmly on the consumer's side.
Value, the Australian way.
But over the last year, this narrative has fractured and consumers are angry.
2 packets of chips for $11. I thought maybe it's wrong.
I just spent $46 on making a lasagna, like lasagna ingredients, and I already had fucking half the ingredients.
Half price was $19. No, it wasn't. $16.10. You absolute assholes. No, it wasn't. $16.10. You absolute... assholes.
The Australian supermarket sector is stunningly concentrated. When you get this much concentration, you're going to get higher prices. It's just a straight causal relationship, proved everywhere. So I think that's quite clear.
As head of the ACCC, Rod Sims spent 11 years battling the big two.
Competition policy is a bit like trying to walk up the down escalator. If you're not really moving forward and pressing ahead, you're going to go backwards. And we stopped moving ahead 20 odd years ago.
It wasn't always this way. Coles and Woolworths started out as variety stores. In the late 1950s, when they moved into groceries and fresh produce, there were 21 other retailers vying for customer dollars. But within just a few years, with their new self-serve supermarket model, they had cornered around 20% of the market. And this concentration already had suppliers, especially farmers, worried.
Some of them, of course, are very frightened that this is being done at the cost of their independence, that you, in fact, will tell them what to grow and when and how.
No, that is certainly not the case. The grower is completely independent. He is able to deal with us if he chooses and if it suits him.
But on the other hand, if you're the only people to deal with, he hasn't got much choice, has he?
No, that would be true, but it is most unlikely that we will ever be the only people to deal with.
By the late 1970s, Coles and Woolworths' market share had doubled to nearly 40%, with a rise in shopping malls built around a central supermarket. Most of this market share was acquired even before Australia had competition laws. They went on to buy out competitors like Bilo, Safeway, Action, and dozens of Franklin stores. As the new millennium approached, they'd cemented their position as the purveyors of convenience. A duopoly was born.
We have allowed these corporations turned a blind eye over a very long period of time, almost like boiling the frog over a very long time, that they've just become bigger and bigger.
Coles and Woolworths now control 65% of the grocery market. Aldi has just 10%, with independents like IGA making up the rest. That means on average, for every $10 Australians pay for groceries, $6.50 of that is spent at Coles and Woolworths, and just $1 at Aldi. By contrast, in the UK, there are 5 major players vying for a cut of that $10. And in the US, there are multiple supermarket chains in the mix. Together, Coles and Woolworths have almost 2,000 stores across Australia, generating $84 billion in revenue. This market power has led to accusations of profiteering, exploiting suppliers and taking advantage of consumers at a time when the cost of living is spiralling.
As prices rise, the big two supermarkets have revealed record profits.
Coles and Woolworths both reported profits of more than $1 billion this year and increased their gross profit margins.
After years of inaction, politicians from all sides are now talking about taking on the duopoly.
When you have this much market power, you need a big stick over the top of them. And it's time now.
That's it, boys. HQ has sent us LA.
There are 6 inquiries and reviews targeting the duopoly.
Today I announced that the Treasurer will be directing the ACCC to conduct a 12-month price inquiry into the supermarket industry.
It is time.
Green Senator Nick McKim is leading a Senate inquiry into supermarket pricing.
And it's time that we haul the CEOs in and ensure that those CEOs are called to account for their pricing practices.
Just what you had there.
The CEOs are quick to argue they're not profiteering at the expense of customers.
The LAATs will leave soon. Get all.
Do you think your profits are excessive?
No. They are fair in the context of the investment that goes into the business every year and the performance of our team. When you look at our return on investment, it's sort of in the middle of the ASX. So is the question, did we drive profit by jacking up prices? The answer is no.
It's really important that businesses like Coles are profitable enterprises. We employ over 120,000 team members. We support over 8,000 suppliers, and we also need to invest in the business to keep it growing over time.
The evidence over time is that Coles and Woolworths had some of the highest margins in the world for supermarkets. Historically, they've been very profitable supermarkets in comparison to overseas.
Woolworths' latest annual report shows its cost of doing business was flat, but its profit margin from selling groceries rose from 5.3% to 6%. That may sound like a small increase, but it was worth an extra $318 million in profits last year alone.
There are many things that go and drive the delivery of that result. It's a lot of hard work and productivity and investment.
It's hard to see how you haven't used the cover of inflation to drive price increases above that. And that's what most people would see as price gouging.
We certainly haven't done it. I personally have I've reviewed the supplier cost increases, which we would have to, in many cases, would have been legitimate. If you look at the price of fertiliser, what happened with international freight, their own wage issues, their own disruption issues, and our prices on the shelf. That's the question you're really asking. To be precise between the price on the shelf and the cost increase from the supplier, those have been in lockstep.
Coles saw a small increase in its cost of doing business last year, pushing its profit margin down slightly to 4.8%. But that margin is still higher than its peers in the UK.
So there are quite often comparisons that are made between the UK and Australia. But Australia has about a third of the population of the UK, but we operate stores on a geographic footprint which is 30 times the size. And so those considerations need to be taken into account when those margins are compared.
There's always been a lot of debate around the numbers, and it's difficult to compare across countries. But it's harder to argue about the market power of the big two. I'm in the New South Wales town of Orange to meet cherry farmer Michael Cuniel.
Hey, Michael.
Okay. Hi.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Good morning.
I've come on a busy day. He's preparing to pick and pack this year's cherry crop.
We had a little lull with weather as well, and now we're ramping back into it. Could I get you to roll the stickers? And I'll just print one more batch off, if you don't mind.
This orchard has been in the Cuniel family for 3 generations.
My grandfather came over from Italy after the Second World War, and they got enough money to put a deposit down on a place. You know, they would work hard from sun up to sundown, or even more. There was profit there.
Michael Cuniel is one of the few growers willing to speak with us. He's getting out of the industry. This year's crop will be the family's last.
Why is the profit not there?
We're reliant now on 2 major supermarkets, really, to buy all of our fruit. We're at the mercy of them. We're price takers, so the profit just isn't there anymore. It gets to you a little bit because these are beautiful young trees and they're just coming to perfect production. You know, this is 5-6 years after planting, so yeah, it's going to be a huge shame to see such fantastic trees and, you know, all that effort just getting pushed into a pile. It's like they've got their hand on your throat and just letting you breathe.
Cuniel stopped selling into Coles 2 years ago. He's opened his books for us.
Well, there's a huge power imbalance. You know, you've got hundreds and hundreds of growers trying to sell to 2 main supermarkets. So they're dictating the price, they're controlling what's being bought for how much. So it's a tricky situation.
His books show that in the 2022 growing season, he sent 11 shipments to Coles via a third party. He made a small profit on 4 deliveries early in the season. For his next 7 deliveries, Michael Cuniel went from just breaking even to losing substantial money. And on one of those occasions, his cherries were rejected outright.
Would they ever tell you why it was rejected?
There's multiple things to reject fruit, and, you know, they can pick something out of the air and say, no, we don't like it because of this.
And did you have any power to say, I disagree with that?
Absolutely no power at all. No. We'd just have to cop it, unless you wanted to be sort of black-banded.
One example stands out. Towards the end of that season, Cuniel sent 15 tonnes of cherries to be sold at Coles, an entire semi-trailer load.
He hoped to receive around $90,000 for his biggest shipment of the year, which had been carefully graded to meet Coles' specifications. Instead, he was told the fruit was not up to standard, and he was only able to get $5,800 on the seconds market.
When you're dealing with thousands and thousands of pieces of fruit, you can pick 10 pieces out and say, this is no good. So that is power, that's market power, when you can simply reject something for no great reason.
Would you acknowledge that there is a lack of transparency in how fresh produce is purchased?
We enter into seasonal commitments with our supplier, and I don't know if this is a supplier to Coles, but with our suppliers, our fresh produce suppliers, we will enter into a seasonal contract.
Isn't there a huge power imbalance there? That once the fruit is sent off, they have very little choice other than to take the price that they're given.
So, as I said earlier, we work closely with our suppliers because we know our suppliers have to be successful for us to be successful.
Fruit and vegetables are crucial for the big two. They're the first thing you see when you enter a store.
The retailers need to be able to offer apples and pears and all the horticultural products at a very, very good price to get customers through the door. And that means that they will put an extraordinary level of pressure on the growers to buy super, super low prices.
Can I give you a run through how the weekly buying process?
Jeremy Griffiths sits on the Horticulture Council at the National Farmers Federation. He says Coles and Woolworths' market power is having a profound impact on the industry.
We have estimated in the last 12 months alone that we've taken the bulldozers to 15% of the Australian pear orchards. That's a remarkable number. 34% of vegetable growers interviewed said that they wanted to get out of the sector in the next 12 months. The average age of growers, and you would have seen this in your travels, it's way too old because no young person sees a future in this industry. It's a massive, massive issue. We just need change. That's the ultimate, that's where we are at this point in time. We can't keep doing this.
While fresh food is the bait to get people through the door, your typical Coles or Woolworths store has more than 20,000 items. And if you really want to understand how the big retailers operate, you need to speak with someone like Julian Hilliard. He spent 38 years in retail, including working as a buyer and what's known as a category manager for both Coles and Woolworths. He's bought everything from cereal to nappies to laundry detergent.
It's your job to pick that right assortment, that right mix of products that's going to maintain the customer satisfaction, suit all their needs, and obviously assist you in achieving your targets.
Is there pressure to hit those targets?
There's always pressure to hit targets. There's sales targets, there's margin targets, there's market share targets, then there's profit dollar targets. So definitely lots of ways that your performance would be assessed.
This might give you the impression that Coles and Woolworths are in a fierce price war, but that's not how the duopoly works.
There's a term called Colesworth.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean to you?
I think it's a generic term people use to describe the fact that there's not a lot of difference between Coles and Woolworths.
How closely do Coles and Woolworths track each other on price?
They're more or less identical in many respects. Both organisations would have teams of people that would be checking prices to ensure that you were not exceeding what was, I guess, deemed to be the acceptable price in the marketplace.
So you're saying when you work for Woolworths and Coles put a price up, you'd follow pretty quickly afterwards?
That would normally be the case. I would probably say that, if you did 5 shops in Woolworths and 5 shops in Coles and you spent $100, you'd be a few cents difference maybe, depending on the specials.
The fact there's little difference on price is something that even Coles CEO Leah Weckert concedes.
You do price match with Woolworths, do you?
We certainly have as one of our considerations when we set price is what is the price of the other retailers, not just Woolworths, but all other retailers in the market that compete in the category that we're looking at.
Are you familiar with the term Coles worth?
I'm not.
Without the distraction of a price war, the big two can instead focus on pumping up their profit margins to satisfy the share market. And it's suppliers who bear the brunt of this. They say Coles and Woolworths play the game ruthlessly.
It's absolutely ridiculous, the margins that they make, the tactics that they deploy.
One industry insider has had enough and is now speaking out.
You're essentially at their mercy in terms of how they want to deal with you, what kind of money they want, and they can make brands overnight and they can destroy brands overnight. That's the reality because of their market power and concentration.
He's asked not to be identified because he works for a company currently supplying into Coles and Woolworths.
If you're not willing to play their game, it's a lot of intimidation, jacking up prices, or deleting it from the shelf and forcing customers to essentially go buy your competitor's product.
He says Coles and Woolworths are always looking to increase their profit margins. He cites a recent email exchange with a Coles buyer where he asked for a price increase.
Initially, he rejected or said, I can't accept this cost increase based on the current climate and the impact on consumers.
The Coles buyer argued the increase of around 5% wasn't justified.
That's where the negotiations started, and we ended up giving a lump sum of money to get the price increase through, which was accepted in full.
So you're saying that they will validate your price increase if you give them either more margin or a lump sum of money?
Correct.
That lump sum was $25,000 towards promotions. The Coles buyer's initial concern for the consumer had been quickly forgotten. There are other costs for suppliers wanting to do business with the big two, including in-house advertising. A full-page ad in Woolworths Fresh magazine will cost $30,000. A 4-week spot on Coles Radio, $28,000. And these all contribute to higher prices for customers at the checkout.
They're the ones that are getting screwed. It just means higher prices at the shelf because the supermarkets are extremely greedy.
Why do you want to speak out?
I honestly think it's the right thing to do. I think the current situation's gotten extremely out of hand. You go to the supermarket, buy a few items, you're already talking $75 to $100. A lot of Aussies are struggling out there.
So you have an email from one supplier. We have over 8,000 suppliers that we work with. We have a team of people whose job it is to look to validate cost price increases. And we take that job very seriously.
He says that's the definition of price gouging. Is that the case?
We don't engage in practices like that.
So you're saying absolutely that this is not a practice that you engage in to use a price increase to increase your margin or your bottom line in another way?
I would need to see the specifics of any particular scenario to judge whether it's reasonable or not. What we have certainly seen is that there has been inflation in cost bases. Coles has not been immune to that. The increases have been substantial over the last couple of years, and so some of that does flow through to the consumer.
Woolworths denies using similar tactics against its suppliers.
When a supplier asks for a price increase, we would like to engage to make sure it's based on true cost increases, and we do that in the context of complying with the code. And so, we're very keen to make sure we don't pass on anything more to our customers than is required.
As a buyer, Julian Hilliard says it was his job to put pressure on suppliers.
Certainly there would be uncomfortable conversations. There's no question of that. Now, some people might classify that as robust business discussion. I guess if I felt that if someone had already given me everything they could possibly give me and I had to ask for more, then personally I felt that was probably a little bit of a stretch.
The establishment in 2015 of a Food and Grocery Code of Conduct was supposed to take some of this friction out of the supermarket-supplier relationship. Under the code, each supermarket appoints and pays for an arbiter to handle its complaints.
The Grocery Code of Conduct is quite frankly a disgrace. You have a code with no penalties. Now let me just emphasise that. That is like having a speed limit throughout one of our cities of 60 kilometres an hour. That's the speed limit. Then someone says, what happens if I go 80? Nothing. There's no penalty. So the law's a joke. The Code of Conduct is a joke.
Why do you think it is that Woolworths has never had a single complaint under the Grocery Code of Conduct?
You would have to go and ask suppliers why that's.
Well, let me
the
tell
case.
you, your own arbiter, Helen McKenzie,
Helen, yep,
has said that suppliers are frightened to complain and that they fear retribution.
Look, I think it's just the nature of any relationship that there's going to be that anxiety.
It's a lot stronger word than anxiety.
So we engage with our suppliers every week. We have robust conversations every week. We resolve issues every week. It's only if you can't do that you go to a code arbiter or anything else.
Coles had no complaints under the code last financial year and just 5 in the previous 2 years. On 3 of those occasions, it agreed to compensate the suppliers.
So they say they fear retribution and so they would not make a formal complaint.
Well, that is not in line with the culture that we have at Coles. And that is why I think most issues are actually resolved in the first instance by our suppliers and our farmers having a conversation with our category teams.
So you think it's working well?
I'm not saying that anyone is not complaining. I'm saying that a lot of these issues are getting raised with our category teams and being worked through.
The Food and Grocery Code of Conduct is now under review, with a push to make it mandatory and to impose fines on those who breach it. The federal government is also reviewing Australia's competition laws. Brad Banducci is adamant competition is fierce, even going as far as talking up rivals like Aldi.
They've got 590 stores. Aldi, they're an amazing business. They drive incredible value.
They have 10% of the market though.
That's not the percentage they have. They're in every community and it makes customers have a choice between a Woolworths or Coles and an Aldi at minimum. And by the way, just up the road is a Costco warehouse.
Are you saying that actually there is really robust competition? I mean, Rod Sims, the former head of the ACCC, says that we have one of the most concentrated supermarkets in the world. Is he lying?
It's not true, and it is not true. This community over here, there will be 3 Coles stores within 2 kilometres of it, at least 1 Aldi store, a series of independents, ability to within 24 hours have a quarter of our store delivered to you by Amazon. It is an incredibly competitive market. The risk people have is
the former head of the Competition Commission says his words are that we have...
By the way.
I don't think you would impugn his integrity and his understanding of competition law.
I'm just saying the world has got much more competitive.
He retired 18 months ago. He's not...
Okay, can we take that out? Is that okay? He is retired, but I shouldn't have said that, Angus. Are we going to leave it in there if we are?
Well, I mean, if we're on the record. You said it. I mean, let's move on. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I'm done, guys. I do this with good intent. I don't do this with bad intent.
You're walking out, really?
No. Can we just talk to Brad for a sec?
Well done, brothers. You got our foot in the hatch, but it's not over yet. Keep moving. brothers. The final objective.
Let's keep going.
Destroy it and we'll bring the ship down.
Australia, we've never been more excited because whenever
The supermarkets are feeling the pressure.
it means you're getting great value, hands down.
One tactic they've been using to get the public back on side is the lure of specials, as seen in their slick ads.
At Woolworths, we can help you spend less.
In recent months, the big two have both announced store-wide price cuts.
$4 a pack. That's today's fresh food people.
I'm on my way to see Rosie Thomas, the campaign's director at Choice. I've brought some groceries with me. So, what can you tell us about these ones?
I recognise these products. So these barbecue briquettes, this is the product where we caught Coles out raising locked prices.
It was not just one item where Coles had misled consumers.
Band-Aids?
Yes, again, there was a locked price promise, but then they put up prices before they should have.
After Choice complained to the ACCC about the briquettes, Coles conceded there were 20 items where prices had not been locked for as long as the retailer had promised.
I'm surprised by this one. Cornflakes?
Yeah, cornflakes are a staple in so many households and people were paying more than they should have.
So Coles was caught red-handed.
They've started refunding the amounts to any consumers who have Flybuys accounts or shopped online. But there will still be a large number of consumers who bought these products in store. And unless they show up with receipts, they're not going to get refunds. And so we really want to know what Coles is doing with that extra money that it's held on to unfairly.
So despite having misled the consumers on 20 occasions, there has been no tangible punishment for Coles.
Not yet, other than refunding the money, which they really shouldn't have kept to begin with.
Do you know how much you've refunded?
We have refunded substantially more than what the benefit was to Coles from the increase in price. And I think what's important to me is that we have worked hard to understand what went wrong with the processes so that they don't happen going forward.
Can you give us the figures of how much customers spent and what you refunded?
I don't think that's appropriate that we get into that level of detail.
Here's the thing you need to know about specials. They're not really that special. Grocery suppliers and brands are often expected to fund these promotions, not the supermarkets. That means suppliers need to set their recommended retail price at a higher level, knowing they will have to offer deep discounts for much of the year.
I'm guessing that the normal price of this is probably over $30. In fact, yes, it is $31. It's on special for $14.50. Who would ever pay over $30 for that item?
So why do they even have the recommended retail price?
I guess they have to set a price and then they'll promote off it. You might ask yourself, or I would ask myself, would it be better to have that sweet spot price around about $22 and just sell it for $22 every day? The trouble with that is it would then just blend into everything else because it wouldn't have the nice, big, flashy ticket on it. You are attracted to those tickets. It helps to drive people into supermarkets. It helps everyone feel that they're getting a better deal.
So how would you categorise a special?
A little bit like a drug.
Behind the success of Coles and Woolworths is a workforce of more than 300,000 people. They are two of Australia's largest private sector employers. But the announcement of record profits has caused friction on the shop floor. So I've decided to get a few groceries on the way home through Coles Click and Collect.
Yep, here we are. Okay, going in here now. Well, that was super easy. Drive in, 2 minutes later, groceries in the back of the car.
But now I'm going to meet someone who quite possibly helped pick and pack my order.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
How's your shift?
Oh, long.
Yeah?
Yeah, long.
It's a stifling day, typical for this time of the year. Anna tells me it's just as hot inside her store as it is out here.
So how hot did it get in there?
It got up to 34, 35 degrees.
It was 34 degrees in there.
Yeah, 34.
Wow, that must be uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was. It was very uncomfortable. It makes your job harder to do.
Where Anna works isn't any ordinary Coles supermarket. It's what's known as a dark store. While it looks like a supermarket with aisles, a deli and bakery, there are no customers. Inside, dozens of staff fill orders for delivery or click and collect. These photos show just how hot it can get. Coles wouldn't expect its customers to endure temperatures of 34 degrees while they shop, but for staff, this is just part of the job. I catch up with Anna again at home.
Every summer, there's people who feel dizzy. Every summer, there's people whose sweat's just dripping off them and they want to sit down. But you get a 15-minute break and a 5-hour shift, so I think it's not really enough for... One 15-minute break doesn't really allow you time to recover and then go back to work and still keep up the same pace.
The pace Anna's talking about is quick. Workers gathering items for online orders are timed and there are targets set.
There is an industry standard of a pick rate of about 180 items per hour. Our warehouse, particularly during busy periods, will push you to go above and beyond that, which might be 210, 220. In the past, they have displayed the names of pickers, where the ones who are falling behind the official pick rate will be displayed in red.
How does it make you feel being effectively publicly shamed for not working hard enough?
It's not fair to people with different abilities, different capabilities, different reasons for what speed they can maintain.
We prioritise team member safety as something that is absolutely crucial in our business. And so ensuring that there is an environment, including temperature, that is safe for our team member would be something that we would definitely want to have a look at and understand why that has happened.
Is it acceptable that your team members have to work in 35-degree heat?
And what I've said is I will take away that issue and we will have a look at it because it doesn't sound right.
After the interview with Four Corners, Coles said it had put measures in place to help employees on hot days, including providing them with chilled neckties.
Oh, nice. Yeah. What about you? I'm here for support. Oh, yeah. That's great.
Anna is part of the first national strike by supermarket workers in Australian history.
What do we want? A living wage! When do we want it? Now!
They walked off the job several times last year, asking for better wages and conditions.
When do we want it? Now!
Coles is not just putting pressure on staff and suppliers. There's a whole other area where the supermarket giant is taking advantage of its market power. It's using this power to push its own products without being upfront with consumers. You may not realise it, but Coles is a big player in wine. I've come to the Coles-owned vintage cellars to pick up a bottle of red. There's no shortage of choice, but like many consumers, I go for a mid-price wine at eye level.
Just that one, thanks. So I decided on this one, the Two Churches Preacher Shiraz. I really like the label, but what really got me was the story on the back.
It tells a tale of German immigrants coming to South Australia, of two Lutheran priests who fell out and built rival churches at opposite ends of the same village. Online, it's promoted as a tale from the Barossa Valley, where the priests disagreed on almost everything except the quality of grapes grown in the now famous wine region. So I'm here in the Barossa to find out where these grapes are grown.
There it is. So this is it, the Lightpass Emmanuel Church, just like on the bottle here. And over there, that's the rival church. It's just such a great story. Is this the home of two churches?
I couldn't tell you that from this bottle.
Adrian Hoffman is a fifth-generation grape grower from the Barossa and says there's no Two Churches vineyard around here.
I think they're sort of misleading the consumer to a certain degree. It sounds like a Barossa story, but yeah, you can't be guaranteed it's Barossa fruit, unfortunately.
So where is the home of Two Churches wine? And what about the address on the back? What does that tell me?
Well, that's the first thing I'd sort of go to. You look at where it's produced, and this says it's Hawthorn East, Victoria.
So here I am in suburban Melbourne. Turns out this is the closest there is to a home for the Two Churches Shiraz. Not that it says Coles anywhere on the bottle.
Coles says it has around 260 private label wines available through its liquor stores.
I mean, the test under law is, would a reasonable consumer be misled? Now, if on the label of the bottle you're telling a story that's unrelated to the product, then I think that runs a serious risk of being misleading.
Why not put your name on it? Why not say it's Coles Shardy or Supermarket Shiraz? Why are you hiding the fact that you own this brand?
So in terms of communicating with customers, there are practices across many retailers and many industries where
Take that point, shouldn't you be honest with the consumer and say, this is a Coles wine?
But why do it? We're very comfortable that the branding approach that we have in our liquor brands is one that resonates with customers.
After our interview, Coles removed any reference to the Barossa from its online promotion of Two Churches. From prime shelf space to prime real estate, there's a more fundamental issue stifling competition in this country: access to land. An industry insider has told Four Corners about a tactic used to keep competitors out. It involves buying up so-called spoiler sites right across the country. A prime example is on Sydney's Upper North Shore. Woolworths has spent almost a decade trying to redevelop this council car park into a shopping centre and supermarket. In exchange for access to the land, Woolworths is offering to build a new library and community hall. It's already purchased 3 shops. If Woolworths gets the green light, they'll be part of the new shopping complex. But they also have the added benefit of keeping rivals out.
Oh, look, it's a huge problem, but you can understand why it's happened. Coles and Woolworths want to maintain as concentrated a market as possible. There's no doubt it's aimed at reducing competition, so therefore you can say it's anti-competitive in that sense. Proving that is tricky.
Does Woolworths use land acquisition or land banking as a way to reduce competition?
So that's not something we actively do. We do, in some cases, buy land. This is one of the pieces of land we've bought and developed. But it's not a way of trying to drive competition. It'll be through, we need a store in a new area, and so you'll buy some land and wait for the community to start moving into the area.
German supermarket giant Kaufland would likely disagree. It halted plans to open supermarkets here in 2020. A lack of suitable locations was cited as one of the reasons. The government is making all the right noises about tackling the power of Coles and Woolworths.
Our government is prepared to take action to make sure that Australians are not paying $1 more than they should for the things that they need.
All of these processes are about one thing,
and that's about seeing if we can exert more competition.
But to actually bring down prices, it will need to implement reform that previous governments have ignored. Former competition boss Rod Sims says the ACCC needs greater powers to block mergers, making it harder for the big two to gobble up rivals, buy land and move into other industries.
I think there's no doubt if you want lower supermarket prices, if you want consumers to pay less for goods in supermarkets, change the merger laws.
The Greens, who are chairing the upcoming Senate inquiry, are exploring more radical change, including breaking up Coles and Woolworths.
The acid test on the Prime Minister is not going to be what reviews or what processes he's prepared to put in place. It'll be what action he's prepared to take.
Whatever happens, it's already too late for cherry grower Michael Cuniel.
So what do? Do you literally put the bulldozer through here?
We just get our bulldozer and start pushing. Yeah, just push them up into piles. I don't mind people making money. Everyone's got to make a little bit of money on the way through, but they're just making so much. It's getting to the point, you know, the industry can't absorb their greed. I don't know what the answer is. I'd like to know it because we would keep reinvesting in our orchards, but I can't see a huge silver lining, so we're out. We're just getting out.
the mission this time, but that window's not shut yet. We're gonna need to take a step back and recapture some of those command posts. General Grievous has been spotted. Out there. Republic sent an ally. You have your orders. Capture those command posts. Our forces are capturing command post desk. Darth Maul is here. We've captured command post desk. ahead. Our forces have started to capture command post Crash.
Ah.
Clanker transports incoming. Don't let the droids board them. You have the locations of the enemy transports on your scanners. Prevent the clankers from hopping on. Enemy boarding underway. The semi-transports will be ready to take off soon. I don't like where this is heading. Let's find you a transport ship. You don't need to be a Jedi to know what those droids are up to. Now, we can't let a bunch of clankers destroy our ship, can we? The Seppies are securing the objective. General Grievous is here. taking out the target. Bounty hunter Bosk just joined the enemy. The objective is taking damage. We must stop them. Droids seem to be shooting straight for once. Don't let them deal any more damage. We couldn't defend the target. Lost the ship. Evac immediately.